Growing up poor in the deep south meant sharing a lot with my little brother, Ollie. Most often we'd pass toys, clothes, and skin conditions between us. Up until he was 6. We even shared a bed. Neither of us were happy about that. It was my 10th birthday when that changed. I got one present that year, and it was a bed of my own. Ollie was jealous right away, and I could understand why. He had to keep that half-broken down frame with the worn-out mattress. The one I'd gotten wasn't much better, but not being broken and worn was enough. Sleeping apart was a great feeling. It was freedom. No longer would I have to suffer the sudden and inexplicable kicks into the stomach. No longer would I wake up with Ollie's foot pressed into my neck like he'd stepped on Dracula the night before. At least that's what I thought. Right away, right after I got the new bed, the shriek started. At first, I thought Ollie woke up in the middle of the night and was screaming because he'd gotten scared. Then, the sound echoed throughout the tiny room again, and I knew it wasn't a normal cry. The room was always black as pitch after sunset. The one window we had was pressed up against a long leaf pine, and even the biggest, brightest moon cast no light inside. The shriek drove me crazy every night, probably about the same time. These sharp yelps would knock me right out of my dreams. It wasn't my mom or dad yelling either. I knew what it sounded like, believe me. Most worrying of all was the fact that I could never tell where it was coming from. It seemed completely random. One night, it'd come from somewhere near the closet. The next, it'd shoot out from the corner of a ceiling. Any hope I'd have of my own space would get dashed every time as Ollie would silently slip into the bed with me, shaking like crazy. He'd clasp onto me and wouldn't let go until it was almost daybreak. Most times I'd take his hand and tell him everything was going to be okay and that it'd be over in the morning. But I was never really sure. Over time, the shriek started changing. At first, it was only by small degrees, but eventually, it took on the primal, hooting sound of a primate calling out its fierce warning. I had to clasp pillows over my ears, just to keep from going deaf. Mom and Dad never believed me or Ollie. Basically because the thing, whatever it was, refused to make a peep when they were in the room. Apparently, they couldn't even hear it through the walls, even though it was damned sure loud enough. The shriek just got worse and worse until I felt like I couldn't take it anymore. Me and Ollie were doing real bad in school, and we just had no energy at all. I could sleep more deeply with my head propped up and eyes open in the middle of class than I could at my own room at night. Then, thankfully, we moved out of that house nearly a year later. I had contemplated all sorts of things, even a child's clumsy concept of suicide, to get away from the horrific nightly noise. There was no problem at the next house. It was a nice, white cookie-cutter home on a dead-end street, and I welcomed the normalcy. What's more, when we moved in, there was a bunk bed waiting for me and Ollie. No more broken bed, no more second bed I ended up having to share anyway. The only problem was deciding who'd get the top bunk. I told Ollie I deserved it. After all, I had gotten a new bed way back and he ruined it by climbing in every night. What? He shook his head. I never did that. I had always wondered why the noise stopped. the second I was sharing my bed. Now I had the answer.